You mean to tell me I was sitting there like a damn fool? Child, listen. Mm. Hey. Hello, everybody. I hope y'all are well. Listen, we got a super duper de doopy juicy. I wouldn't call it juicy, but we have a live ahead of us today. Hang on one second. Okay. So we're gonna wait for about 10 people. Who's in here? How dope is that? Who's in here? Damn it, I forgot I forgot the name of the shit. Okay. And what do you think women's ratio is about? Hey Shar. I didn't do much. I don't really celebrate. I cooked, which I cook anyways. Um, and I sat around and I prayed and thanked the Father, honestly. I was I was very grateful in my moment of silence, if that makes sense. I didn't do nothing, I didn't go nowhere, didn't want to go nowhere. I just sat, relaxed, and you know, just enjoyed what I had, if that made sense. It was wonderful though. Thank you. How was yours, darling? Hey Shannon, hey Tib, hey Foxy, yay, okay, look at here. We got some people. So this is gonna be a good live. I don't know how long I'm gonna be on here. I don't have a time limit. We're gonna talk about some shit, okay? I'm so glad that I actually do have the opportunity to go live now on Rumble more so than TikTok because I can I can talk. I can speak about things. Um Ooh, man, this is gonna get good, um I'm gonna try not to make it too good. I don't need nobody knocking at my door or anything, but we're gonna go into a place of, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, right? So, for starters, I'm going to go ahead and give my disclaimer. I'm so appreciative of y'all being here. Let's keep in mind that everything that I'm saying, all right, in the stream is alleged information. I don't know any of these people. They don't know me. Again, this is based on alleged information. Okay? They will not confirm nor deny, and I hope they don't because I'm going to be saying some rather serious things. However, it's just entertainment. This is things and information I've gathered from all kinds of places, sources, media, uh, articles, fucking word of mouth, whatever it may be. It's an opinion. Okay, so that's what I'm supposed to say. So now that we've gotten that out the way, listen, I got so many corners to cut. I'm gonna take my time though. So this will be a long live. I appreciate y'all being here. We got 20 people. Yay. I'm appreciative of that. I'm so grateful. Thank you for being here. I'm going to spin your mind a little bit. Some of the things I'm going to say you might know. If not, just hold on tight, right? So this has a lot to do with the activities that the elites take part in, what they do. We hear the stories of them sacrificing and doing this, doing that, but what are they doing? What are they really doing underground? What are they really doing at those mansion parties? What are they really doing to those children? Right? So we are familiar with the case of Anthony Weiner. I want to pronounce it as Weiner so bad because saying the name Anthony Weiner just it you know how they say you shouldn't judge. I totally judge with that. I do 100%. I judge with that name, and that's fucked up. But we're gonna start with that now. He received a very small prison sentence for. I think he got caught with some they called it illicit content, but we're going to call it some fucked up shit he shouldn't have had of a 15-year-old. Now, hey, Iris, I'm glad you're here. So, with hearing that case, most people would just automatically think of the laptop. They kept saying, what was on that laptop? What was on that laptop? What information did he have that was so fucked up that they are like being so discreet and secretive about it? Well, they have to do that because, how do they say it? Birds of a feather flock together. Once you pick at one, you're picking at them all because they're in the same group. They're all in the same nest together. So Anthony Weiner had a lot of connections towards the Clintons, in particular Hillary. Excuse me. Now, he was married to a young lady named Huma or Uma. And I think Uma had a role with Hillary for a very long time as being like an advisor or something like that. I don't know what particular advisor she was, but they had known each other for over 20 years. So they were really, really cool. And she was appointed as Hillary's advisor. Now, when he was arrested, in this laptop was so much information that led to Hillary. But before we get to that, the people that viewed this laptop, there were said to have been 12 people with names who had to sign a sheet stating who they were and what they were viewing it for, what have you, including some of the NYPD. Now, 12 people had to go through this process. 9 of the 12 people to date are deceased. 9 of the 12 people who viewed the information on this laptop are deceased. Now, he had many files, a lot of fucked up files with teenagers, young boys, young girls. You name it, he fucking had it. We're going to get into it. But there was this one particular file that he had. That's my heater going in and out. I don't know. It's going like da 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 da. But one of the particular files that he had was called insurance policy. Now, I can understand why he had it as insurance policy because that was footage of 2 people doing something so bizarre and fucked up that they've made a movie about it. We didn't catch it, but they made a movie about it. Now, where did this activity take place? And what was on that file? The activity took place on an island, right? Um, the people involved were Uma, which was Anthony Weiner's wife, and Hillary Clinton. Now, on this film, what they did was they sliced the face off of a young girl. They passed the fillet piece of her face around as they put it across their own faces and danced and cheered and, laughed amongst each other. Um, and they watched her bleed out into the special jar for adrenochrome purposes. You want me to say that again? They filleted her face off. They sliced her face off as she screamed and begged for her life, pleaded to be saved. And they placed her filleted fish, child, filleted face on top of their faces as they danced and cheered and paraded each other around in joy, passing the face around, putting it on top of theirs as the little girl screamed with death coming upon her. As she bled out, she was tortured in other ways, poked and stabbed, and the blood was drained out of her into a special jar where it was consumed or, needed for adrenochrome purposes. Now, that's one of the details. Hey, Tamar, did you catch what I said? You would have. I know you would have been tuned in to hear that. Hey, ZZs, yeah, that's crazy, right? So, um, yeah, it and the most sickening part about that was um the other side to whom else was in those emails. It kind of makes sense and it's all connected. It even goes back towards oh, hey, Miss W. Okay. Now I gotta get used to y'all names on here. Whoo, child. Okay, thank you for telling me that. Yes, and we're gonna talk about that face. Big facts. um this is what Fleet White, who was a part of the whole Jean Benet situation, that was good friends with her father John. This is what his job was. His job was to film activities like that and sell on the black market. He was a snuff filmmaker. That's why he moved to Boulder. He didn't get this new job. He was asked to move there. He was paid to come out there and film shit like that. Now, John Podesta, I think the most major part about the whole email situation with John and later down the line with him being discovered on what he was doing, it all ties in with each other. So I don't think that it was just regular everyday people like who know how to hack. I don't believe it's that. I used to work with a hacker. In fact, the guy that I told y'all about that showed me the video of what I saw with John Benet. People have a skill with getting into shit. You know what I mean? And that scared me half to death. I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch the rest of this. I don't know if I want you to even know that my eyes graced this shit like that. You know what I mean? So we have people that can do all kinds of things. And what I mean by that is with the hackers trying to get at John Podesta, I don't think it was regular people that know how to hack or someone who's really good at that. I think it was the JEWs. When they want to set an example or get the heat off, it's like they play a game from above. They're playing a game. It's not just us that are the pawns, even though they make it a black and white thing. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of fucked up people who think with such the most racist mindset is ridiculous. But when you understand that we are all pawns, you will look at a racist like they have no clue as to what's going on in life. Little do they know that they're being used to feel higher than many others only because you're still not as high on the totem pole as you would think you are. So, you have hackers that I think what they did was they sent him some emails like phishing type thing. saying something was going to happen and they needed the password or for him to recreate the password. So that's how they was able to log into his account. Now with Anthony Weiner, those files were saved on that laptop. That was the same laptop that he and his wife shared with each other. Now, Jeffrey comes into par because that's different from the John Podesta and Anthony Weiner case to me, because Jeffrey is Mossad. So he is a part of the spying program or spying technique. So who gives a shit about him being exposed? He's alive and well right now. He's over there in Israel chilling. So he didn't care about putting himself on a chopping block because he is the block. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. You get what I mean? He is a part of the source. So he can fuck himself up. It doesn't matter. He was filthy rich for a long time. He is the ugliest, one of the ugliest people I've ever seen. There's nothing, he's the weirdest. That's why Ghislaine was in love with him. He was weird. He was weird. And he don't look nothing more than, he looks like a trout. His mouth, he has the mouth, I don't know if it's the mouth of a trout or a bass. Might be a trout. Have you seen him smile? He's weird. We'll get into all of that though, because I'm going to talk about his birthday book and the people that signed it and the things that they were saying and shit, right? But the only reason why I said there's a difference between his emails being put out and Anthony Weiner's emails being put out and Podesta's emails being put out, excuse me, is um who was I talking about? John Podesta. His situation comes about by being so stupid, you know. You know, you're not too old to be doing shit like that, but you're too old to be handling technology, in a sense, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Um, Jeffrey. Now, some of the things or the acts that Jeffrey had committed, um, the girls were always upfront with his penis and talking about how it looked. There was questions given to him at the is it called the deposition, where there were questions of how his penis was described to look, and they described it in the same field as how the young lady described Puffs as being like a Tootsie Roll. But I'm sure, it didn't look like a Tootsie Roll, if that makes sense. But in his world, all right, we're going to go really, really deep. Everything has its connection somewhere or another. Ariana Grande is a part of the Epstein world, okay? And I just figured out why she is in the trance or the state of mind that she's in. Um, for a very long time, she had been hosting concerts for Israeli intelligence and plenty of billionaires and high numbered ranking millionaires um, on the island or at their big estates. We're talking about castle like places. And they need her to, they don't, you know. Yeah, they're silencing her because of what she's known, seen, or witnessed. But yeah, they hired her to perform, and that's why she's, because you can't tell me with having the goodness the goodness of sight that we've been blessed with to see that there is something wrong. There is something totally wrong with that whole picture. The frailness of her body, the paleness of her skin. They done dyed the girl eyebrows blonde to make her look flushed. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? You know? Um, it's a it's a combination of the things that go on down there. So again, we're going to talk about some more of the things that go on. Now, to go back to the young lady, I know Tamar, we were talking about the young lady whose face was filleted off and that they wore passed around back and forth. I can't cook it. Um, they made a mockery of her with the movie Castaway. I do recall seeing the photo of her um, that you were saying, with the face sliced off. Um, the ball, Wilson, with the red face that was supposed to be the handprint, that was a complete mockery of the little girl's face. They have been known to have T-shirts um, made that some of the celebrities were wearing with this little girl's face. Um, so, listen, when it comes to child crimes, out of everybody, all the men, Hillary is the worst. Hillary has done some, Hillary has taken the, um, oh, what was it called? Oh, goodness. I can't remember what it's called. And shoved it inside the anus of a young girl. And she gets excited about it, hype, exhilarated. Um, that's also on film. Um, when Trump did say that he wanted to punish someone for a lot of, explicit war crimes and, uh, um, all kind of fuckery that they had against children and exploitation and etc., trafficking and all these other things, he was in fact referring to Hillary. The Clintons have always been involved with crimes in relation to that of such. They're very, it's not just them. All of them are like this. The chocolate chip one named Obama, he's the worst. You think you saw the photo of fucking Bill sitting there with a blue suede dress on and red pumps. Imagine what the fuck Obama be looking like. Joan Rivers didn't say that because she just wanted to crack a joke. The best way you can tell the truth is through comedy. I believed her from day fucking one. You know? These people, they they do things that are beyond, you know, what's expected. Now, again, that activity that I spoke of with the face had taken place on the island. Um, And if you think about it, Castaway was based on a true story, but there were a few moments of symbolism that you could relate that situation with in the movie. Even you can go as far as to saying the island. Well, what island? What island? And like someone said in the comments, yeah, Tom Hanks is nowhere near perfect. Absolutely not, Tamar. He is very awful. And we know this, we have a little bit more understanding by way of what happened to the young man that died on Route 44. Route 44, I say route. Um, what's his name? shit. Um, the redheaded Jewish boy, um, who was good friends with Seth Green. Um, shit. Hang on, cause I gotta. What was his name? Isaac Cappy. I was trying to look it up, but I remembered before that. Ha! I was trying to erase myself. But Isaac Cappy. It's alleged that he was responsible for that, posting certain pictures. He always posts weird videos. I don't know if he still does it anymore, but he would always post weird videos of like a pair of mittens or a red hat, something very strange. And I think those strange belongings belong to people of things that he had done shit to, whether killed or tortured or whatever he had done to them. And Isaac Cappy, there was something allegedly, he said something about roadkill on the same route that Isaac Cappy was unalived at. So these people be doing some weird shit. I don't give a fuck how cool we think they are, how dope they are. They're all sick, and it's beyond fucking each other. You know, back in the day when they would have these public ritualistic sex orgy fucking sacrificial parties, um it it was always in some woods, deep wooded area, underground, hosted, you know, in a big secluded closed in place where it was sealed off from the public. And so it would be easy to look at these things as being something that wasn't real until you know, we grow up and we read movies like Hansel and Gretel and we think of it as folklore. It's not real. It's a story to scare the children. Or you think of the Pied Piper and you think of R. Kelly. Okay, I did a story on that one time with the similarities to that, but with the luring of the children. And you say to yourself, you have to at least say to yourself, these things aren't just bullshit stories. You know, these things start somewhere. John Podesta is a sick weirdo. Listen, I can't imagine a child being afraid of him, and I'm so sorry that they would have even gone through something like that with him, because I would have taken, at least tried to take the nearest thing in my hand and knock the fuck out of him. That thin string bean head ass motherfucker, I would have tried to snatch every piece of his nose off and shove that shit down his goddamn eyeballs and through the corner. I'd have shoved the tip of his nose through the corner of his goddamn eyeballs. That thin faced motherfucker. It's shit like that. Like in the street, he would be a coward. But within himself, the power that he has. See, this is why we know these people don't do things just because it's what they want to do and they're excited to do it. No, it's power. You get power for slicing the face off of a child and putting it on you. You get power for drinking their blood at their most, that at the tip of where that girl was scared to fucking death, where the mind cracks at a certain point and it splits. This is another form of how they call it um multiple personalities or schizophrenia. Like that could be triggered to happen. Some people just lose themselves and they slip into a moment of, you know, losing themselves. I'll call it that, you know, having a nervous breakdown, or if you would, you know, you can become consumed and stressed, but no. They have a method of where they split the mind. And once the mind is split from fear, the body releases a certain toxin within the blood and they get high off of it. It's like euphoric to them. Not only that, they use it for different ways of staying youthful. They, you know, they plumps their skin. It fills in the lines. Like these are some crazy, weird ass motherfuckers, you know? Yes. Yes. They are very weird. It's to the point now where you got to know that some of the things and the activities that they do. I just released a book the top of the month on November 2nd called Williamsburg. And in that book, it's got a few things of some of the things that I'm talking about, you know. You should go get it. It's available on my website, Gab Gifted 7 store. Where, you know what, I said I was going to reduce the price for today only. The book is now at $20, of course, because it's my site. I gotta make some money, you know. If what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the book today, and I'm going to make it mm, 13.99. Well, we'll just say 13 or 14. I don't know about the 99, but I'll do that in one moment. That book will take you on a journey of some of the things that I'm talking about, written in the form of a novel. Okay. But many of these, thank you, Iris. I appreciate that. Many of these stories don't just hold something that we call later a conspiracy. It's full of the powerful men that we see on TV who engage in activity with each other. Thank you, Miss W. They sleep with each other. They fuck each other's children. You we gotta be crazy if we don't know Trump passed his daughter around. Yeah, he passed her around. They had a lot of people fucking and touching and feeling on Ivanka. You know? She didn't know any better at the time. You know why? And this is the crazy part, because their world is not our world. In their world, that's considered normal. John Bonet considered the activities that went on with her to somewhat be normal. She wasn't around other little girls who didn't go through the same thing. She wasn't around your children or your auntie back in the day when she was little. No, she was around other rich white little girls whose families were well off. They all attended the same. Um, oh, I gotta. Okay, you know what? I'm glad you said that. I need to go in and do that right now. Um, what's the name of the damn? Okay, yeah. So let me do that right now. And I did see the email come up. Hang on, y'all. I'm sorry. I appreciate that, Tamar. Uh, what's my Is it? Damn, I'm gonna have to fix that in a little bit. It's telling me I can't do it. What the hell? But yeah, it's so much involved with them that even if we go back to um, Wiener, there's far more than even just that. That was just something that they were using against Hillary. See, when they get upset with one person or if they want to put everybody else in check, they do things like that. Like, why do we think that half of Hollywood was on house arrest during the time of COVID? That had a lot to do with that too. That was Trump's way of looking out for his people. Also, while feeding us a few dollars and shutting down businesses and allowing unemployment to still pay you and stuff. That wasn't because they cared about us. The government was loving and considerate. No, that was because it took the attention off of Oprah doing interviews with Meghan Markle having a whole goddamn foot monitor on. She couldn't leave to go nowhere. Ellen, all of them. They had all been caught doing all kinds of fuckeries, but it had been swept under the rug. You know, Ellen's not here for a reason. When she left the country, it's the same reason why Russell Simmons left the country. They just don't want to talk about one more than the other. You know, Russell left the country because he had been in trouble for doing some inappropriate things to women, which they all do the same. Russell, they was really coming towards Russell because he would stand to gain a big portion of partnership of Def Jam. Um, it would have been split three ways through Russell, Rick Rubin, and that other Jewish guy. So the two Jewish guys decided it would be better to keep each other and benefit off of it as opposed to let that nigger in. So they decided to bring those allegations, and everybody knew that the allegations were true. It's just that Russell, you know, sometimes black people can get too comfortable with things and think that it's all good because they're doing the same things as their mentors have taught them to do. But when in reality, you know, you the first one to get kicked off the ship. If it's the shit, if it's too much weight on top of it, your ass going overboard. So damn, now I gotta figure out why is my shit not oh, you know what? Hang on, y'all. Let me see something. Um, hold on. Uh, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay. All right. All right. Hello. I'm sorry. But it goes beyond. Like even with poor Justin Bieber. I got upset with that whole Puff situation because afterwards with the whole Bieber thing, a lot of people was getting angry at him saying that he had done things to certain people. I don't like that because listen, um, the abusing cycle continues. You know, it gets passed down. The mindset because when you introduce something that's foreign to someone, it somehow may become embedded. It doesn't mean that applies to everyone, but to those that aren't strong enough to withstand or push something like that out of the head, it becomes something that continues to go on. So, you know, I view Justin as being a victim. Um, I don't. I did view Usher at one point as being a victim, and I still do view him as being a victim. But you gave the wolf got you, so now you're feeding the wolf. You know, the wolf got him, so you know Usher had to be rushed to the hospital because his ass was bleeding. Yeah, at a young age. Yeah, big facts. And he done the same thing by turning Justin Bieber over to uh, Puff. So, you know, in relation to this whole John Bonet thing, even when bringing her up, I can't really talk about it the way I want to on TikTok because they just will not let me be great no matter what I do and try. When I did a good job the first time I put that story out and they eliminated my page. Um, it makes me, it reminds me of wanting to tell a story and having to settle and dumb it down. And if I dumb it down, that makes it just as bad as the way everybody else is telling it. I want to tell that story the way that it should be described. So if y'all got some time, Just tell me if you want, excuse me to go into that story. Um, because I feel like I got to talk about that story to talk about some of the um, details that were that were discussed in those different files for Anthony Weiner. Um, because they're all, they all go together. Um, oh, you know what? Um, boy, let's see. Well, Tamar, hang that thought on the book until I get done with the live. Um I gotta pay the damn, what's it called? The platform. And it's not accepting this card. And I'm trying to figure out what card is on there if it's not accepting this one. So I'm gonna do that towards the end. But so thank you for the support anyway. Thank you. That's terrible. Look at me trying to gain support and can't even get the support I'm asking for. So I'll try to switch that card out. I'm trying to do it as I talk, but I apparently can't do two things at one time, which is weird. Okay, yeah. So if you do want me to go into the whole situation with John Bonet, I tell you what, you ain't even gotta tell me you want me to go into it. I'm going into it anyways. So in those emails, it does showcase a lot of activities that adults engage in with children. Now, in Anthony Weiner's case, his wife was also just as disgusting as he was. So that was Hillary Clinton's advisor at the time, and she also was the one on that video that was passing the fillet of face that they sliced off the little girl around, putting it on hers and all. Okay, her name is Uma Ajid or something like that. Huma. Look at her. Look just as corporate normal as possible. Looks like she wears the best diamond rings you've ever seen. Probably eats a fucking bagel with uh, very few seeds with fucking sweet butter cream cheese or some shit, like one of those. So, my pleasure, Iris. So, the fascination that they have with children is about power and innocence. So with Jean Benet, I was trying to get into telling the story of what happened with her by explaining why this whole situation was targeted towards that family. Um, they were chosen to have this situation done in order for the husband to move up. He apparently was aiming to rise to become a 33-degree person, right? Allegedly. And when they do things like this, they have to go along blindly and trust. They have to place trust in their brotherhood and in the system, and not fear that they will fall or be jailed or anything, if that makes sense. They, like how we have to have faith in our Father, they have to have faith in their brotherhood system that they won't be let down. And they won't. They don't get let down. So in this particular case, Patsy, and I was talking about it in the visual part, I was saying how names usually have meanings to them. So we know that Patsy means like a fluke, a dope, someone who just could be easily taken advantage of. In modern day terms, a dumb fuck, a dummy, one of those. Her real name was Patricia. Now, she had also been a beauty queen. She was from West Virginia. She won many pageants, even from being a child up into her adulthood. She ended up marrying John in like 89, was it? 80 or 89? I think it was 89. Um, he had already been divorced. He had a whole family prior. His daughter had died by way of a car accident. Her brakes went out. Okay, moving on, right? Um, but he was divorced and he was very well off. He was the founder and starter of this company that then merged with another company. And throughout time, he became a millionaire. At the time prior, a little bit before John Benet's death, he was worth about $6 million, right? So, um, Patsy was a victim of MK Ultra. Um, I had done a lot of research and looking into some of the medications that she had been prescribed to take. A lot of it had been due to schizophrenia. She was diagnosed to have manic depression at one point. She was given lithium at one point, and that made me totally understand what she had been going through because my mom at one point had taken lithium, which is banned in a lot of places. It's very dangerous. So they found a way to get her off of that. And you could tell by a lot of her interviews, her speech was slurred. It She sounded like a mom who was concerned and in distress and grieving. We don't have the ability to tell anyone how they should grieve. However, she just reminded me of a mother that didn't know what the fuck was going on. She knew, but she didn't know. She didn't know exactly, but she knew. And how we know that she knew was she had taken Jean Benet to the pediatrician at least 33 times out of 3 years. And this pediatrician had made notes that had said that her vaginal area was somewhat bruised and raw and red. Um, Child, it was chafed. Um, this was several times. This was during the year 93, 94, several times in 94, several times in 93. No police were called. Why were no police called? Why wasn't this reported outside of she and this pediatrician? Well, it was a Boulder thing. It was a brotherhood community thing. They were birds of a feather flocking together. They would not tell on each other. The pediatrician um, had a relationship with, I agree. I agree, Tamar. The pediatrician had a relationship with John and Patsy and Fleet White and his wife Priscilla and a lot of the other families in the neighborhood. Listen, they lived within each other a span of 2 miles at the most. Now, the distance from John's house to Fleet White's house. See, if no one knows who Fleet White is, Fleet White is the guy that also was with John when he found John Benet allegedly downstairs all the way in the bottom of the basement past Patsy Pat room in the little concrete room. See how I say that with aggravation in my voice? Because who the fuck knows about that space? If you see the video details of the house, who the fuck would know about that room down there besides someone who lives there or that has frequented the house quite often? Nobody would know of that room. But before we even get to that, you know, um, there were so many visits, and John Benet had spoken to the pediatrician and had shared some things, and the pediatrician had asked some questions. They even had what's her name, Patsy, questioned on sex education and some of the things that John Benet may have known or picked up about. And I just find it very weird that you would engage in asking questions or saying that you received statements from a young child saying, that she was uh, inquiring about sex roles. What the fuck is a role to play of sex when you're a child? Who does that unless someone is being groomed or they have experienced this? So the pediatrician also says that um, John Bonet was numb to strangers, meaning she would have welcomed anybody. That's a very dangerous thing to say. That means that that child knew or was taught to not resist anything. That may have been fear injected into that young lady to not fight off someone who wanted to do strange and weird things to them. Someone had to be allowed to do something in order for her tush to be read and chafed. Now, when she was found dead, the coroner has in the report of her autopsy that her vagina opening was twice the size of that as it should have been. So that means that she was constantly penetrated, because you and I know as grown women, if we don't get penetrated in a while, it doesn't mean it closes back up, but it could be a fight to get back in the next time, and we're adults, consenting adults. And we get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to make this harsh, but I'm just saying that this is the reality of what people go through and what they have gone through. You know, I don't think people really want to tell a story like this. It doesn't make me comfortable telling the story either. But um, yeah, just to know that yes, right. So for hers to be twice the size of the opening, it was constantly used. Okay, that's kind of hard. That's see, shit like that pisses me off. I don't know. I can't even imagine. And so she was always. This is why ketamine is used and certain drugs are used to put these children to sleep. This is, and keep in mind with me saying that, because on the way from the Christmas party, it is alleged that Patsy says that the children were asleep in the car when they got home. Well, bitch, what the fuck happened from the car to the house? Because we still didn't get to the bowl of pineapples and the glass of tea with the tea bag on the table. So when she sleep, did you wake her up? Did you put her in the bed? What did you do? Because you were still fully dressed like you had just got back from the party. I'm going to tell you what I believe, because I listened to the 911 call. I heard the background of uh, little Burke screaming when she said, John Benet's gone. And he says, I know. Burke didn't do that. He wasn't strong enough to crack the fucking skull of that little girl. He didn't do that. No. Burke was getting his ass dug in as well. You don't think Burke was being abused? Look at how weird and awkward he is now. How much of an introvert he is, how awkwardly he is socially. The boy smiles the whole time talking about something tragic. You don't think he's on any medicine? All of them are fucked up. The mama was on medicine. The mama looked like she was always 12 sheets in the wind being interviewed about her child. She didn't know whether to cry. She didn't know if she was saying the right thing on cue as they rehearsed in the car. She didn't know what the fuck was going on. All she knew was, God damn it, John, you took it too fucking far. You didn't tell me you were going to kill her. I thought you were going to let Mr. So-and-so dig in her ass a little bit. They would cut us a check. I'd feed her some pills to make her forget about it like they did in the movie Men in Black, and everything would be normal. God damn it, John, you took it too fucking far this time. That's what she gives me. So, wives be involved. They may turn their head or make it seem as if they turned their head. They didn't turn their head, you know. Patsy didn't turn her head. She was involved. She wasn't involved in the death, but she damn near led the horse to the water. Um, yeah, facts. Yes. And so John Bonet having an account said to someone giving an account, said to someone that she was tired of the people standing in the circle around her wearing the black hoods. She was tired of them. That sounds like some Children of the Corn shit, where we're outside getting ready to do a ritual or some type of sacrifice, and we got on our cloaks and our hoods and all of that. Oh, wow. Our cloaks and our hoods and all of that. And getting ready to do an act on the little girl. Um, I believe that she was bought several times by people before she was unalive. Now, I'm going to get into what exactly happened that night and what I saw. I never got a chance to really explain it in its entirety the way that I saw. Now, I talk about this book that's called it's written by Muriel, uh, and it's called the something of Miss Brody, uh, Miss Jean Brody. Hang on, let me look up the book. Let's see, Miss Jean Brody. Oh, excuse me. The Prime of Miss Jean Brody. That was Patsy's favorite book. Now, in this book, it's about a young lady, a teacher, who helps the lives of 6 young individuals. She had a love for scarves, and also she had a love for feeding comfort. Comfort for preparing for death, comfort for preparing for the loss of a loved one, comfort for losing your purse, whatever it was. That comfort was served in a bowl with pineapples and milk. This book was written a long time ago. It's about, a childhood book growing up. Like when I was growing up, my childhood book that I loved and I appreciate to this day was a book by Judy Blume called Dear God, It's Me, Margaret. My mom gave me that book and I read that book probably within 2 days. I was so excited about that book. It was like one of the best things a little girl could read growing up. That's what that book meant to Patsy. And it's called The Prime of Miss Joan Brody. Now, John Bonet was served pineapples and milk that night. There was also a glass of tea with a tea bag next to it. There was no one's prints found on the bowl or the tea bag or the spoon except Patsy's. Now, that's okay. It's her house. It's her mom, right? That's not abnormal. What is different is that there were pineapples and milk found in John Bonet's stomach. Um, when did she have time to eat them? Now, again, this is known as a comfort food. In the book, it is described as being fed to one of the children. It was fed to someone to give them comfort before death. This, again, is Patsy's favorite book. There is a such thing as an identity swap where you can love something so much that you take on the energy of it. Now, I mentioned that in this book, the young lady, Miss Joan Brody, had a love for scarves. So did Patsy. In fact, when John Bonet died, she placed a scarf in her um, coffin. Now, that doesn't seem strange. That's who wouldn't want to leave something or put something in the coffin with, you know, um, their loved one. I wouldn't, but some people find joy in doing that. Um, there is theory that while they were having that snack with each other, Burke and JonBenét, that he got upset with her and hit her in the head. No, no. I don't believe JonBenét was asleep in that car. I believe when they got home, JonBenét was given pineapples and milk, and she was administered something in the pineapples and milk. Um, the only other theory that makes me jump over that is she was, yes, she absolutely knew JonBenét was gonna die. Yes. No, I'm sorry. She didn't know that she was going to DIE um until it happened. I think she thought that she knew something bad was gonna happen. I believe she thought JonBenét was being sold to the highest bidder. I do. I believe that she was being sold to the highest bidder because she was in fact a beauty queen at one point. She had been sold. She knew what time it was, but I don't think that she knew that her child was going to die, but she fed her comfort in the midst of what went on with her. So I think that from the ride from Mr. Fleet's house to their house, JonBenét was never asleep in that car. And when they got her home, they fed her pineapples and milk immediately, which may have had something in it, perhaps ketamine. Um, that, is a horse tranquilizer that may have placed her into a deep lethargic sleep state, if you would. Or, or the tragedy happened at the Fleet White's house. Um, she was never asleep in the car, and the tragedy happened at Fleet White's house. This is where the birthday party took place. And the reason why I say that is because on film, now, when they found the girl at the Ramsey's house, her neck was tied with a string, the same string that was tied around that paintbrush um, that was found to be a part of Patsy's paint box. Why we need to know that? See, that's unnecessary information. Who cares? She was a painter. She painted. Of course, there would be a paintbrush with a paint box there, right? That's to distract us. But that same knot that was tied with that paintbrush was called a sailor's knot. They tried to say that Burke or either John did that. Burke cannot tie a sophisticated, intricate knot like that. I don't give a fuck if he was a 10th generation Boy Scout. No, that is a sailor's knot, and that knot was extremely intricate. So there are two people that were in the Navy in this situation that could have tied that knot, Fleet or John. Now, they weren't the only other two at this dinner. There were several other people at this Christmas dinner. So anyone could have been able to tie that particular sailor's knot. But I believe this activity of hurting and harming and what was done to JonBenét took place at the White's house. Now, what I saw, because I can talk about it here, on the, what's it called? Not black market. What's that network of film, the people? watch uh whatever it's called. Um, my coworker knew I was doing a story on it, and they showed me something. I had to go to their house to go see it. I wasn't expecting to see a young girl with her hands tied behind her back. Now, I want you to go on not YouTube, go on Google, and if you look up JonBenét's body, you will see her neck turn purple and blue where the string was tied extremely tight around her neck, where it was tighter than that to showcase her almost being damn near decapitated, right? There were signs like prong ends of uh, a taser um, in several areas of her body. Um, the hands, the wrists were tied so tight, the skin tore. Blood started to show, even down to, I don't know if you would call them tendons, but down to the meat was showing. Um, and that stick that was tied around that shoestring that was connected to her neck, I want you to envision a young girl with her hands tied behind her back, with a string tied around her neck, and her feet tied to a pole. Let's say we're downstairs in a basement. The basement is fully done. It's not drywall or anything. It's decorated. Now you're tied to a pole, a support beam. Um, it's not dark wood. It's like a light. I don't know what you would call that type of wood. Um, and there's someone behind the pole that's holding the stick with the string, and it's a pulley. Now, as they pull the string, it tightens the string around their neck and it pulls her head backward to where her head, the back of her head, is hitting against the pole. And it pulls the hands backward also, although they're tied together as well. The feet stay in place. Um, there are objects inserted, and you are told to shut up. You are slapped. You are hit. Um, you have mm, cigarettes placed to your skin, fire placed to your body. Um, the cords are cut, and while you are gasping for air, um, you are allowed to be penetrated by whomever. Um, you're then given clothes to put back on. You can't put them on. Clothes are placed back on your body because when you're found, they're not really on as they should be because you're tied up. Your hands are still secured and tied in the tightest knot that your clothes wouldn't fit as they're supposed to. Some of the items are cut, and we know why. They couldn't get it back on. Um, after, or how about this? At the party, you were sat in the children's area. We know that when we take children places and there's other kids there, you all might sit them at a table or let them all go in a room and play together. Like the teenagers walk off and pretend they ain't doing nothing, but they smoking weed or whatever it is that people do when they do what they do. Um, Patsy, you're a homemaker. You probably had a little bit of cut up pineapples and a little bit of milk, you know, that you decided to give JonBenét because she's tired. It's getting late, you know. Gave her a little bit of that before. the destruction happened. After she's cut loose and they notice everything's cool or whatnot, um, let's let Burke ride up front with me. Let's put John Benet in the back seat. They make it home. Patsy sets the table with the pineapples and milk. That's why her fingerprints were on it. Has Burke come in. Burke didn't say much. Burke probably drinks a little bit of the tea. He wants to go to bed. They tell Burke John Benet's already in bed. He don't remember that night. If you asked him, he wouldn't fucking know what the fuck was going on if you gave him a memory pill. The pretending of the ransom note gets found. Now, Patsy wrote the ransom note. It was already declared by a handwriting skilled doctor handwriting skilled professional that there was something going on with her H's and the word the. Those H's were hella similar. And the amount that was promised or said to have been requested on the ransom note was the exact amount that John had made for his bonus at his high paying job. They had found copies of certain things in the house where there was like practice letters. Yeah. Um that's it's not a setup. These people were totally aware of what they were doing. The husband wanted to move up in society and become a part of the everlasting brotherhood. And we ain't talking about no elites. We're talking about the high ranking Illuminati. Because anyone can be a Mason. Some of us know some Masons. We ain't talking about them. We're talking about the upper echelon motherfuckers. You know, he had to give up his daughter. He had to give her flesh up as well as give her blood up. She was a sacrifice and she was SA'd throughout her whole fucking childhood. And the best way to prepare someone to be SA'd is to do it to your fucking self. You got to be crazy if you don't think that John had his hands and his DNA all over his daughter. You know, let's start with that. Rewind and go backwards just a little bit. Um, the daughter that he had prior in the previous relationship, she had died due to a car accident. Now, what happened? The brakes went out. How could the brakes go out? I mean, that happens, you know. We're not doubting that. But do I believe that John had something to do with it? Absolutely. Why would I believe that? Well, number one, when they want to climb higher, they they have to do the ultimate sacrifice, which in a lot of cases would only be giving up what you love. Satan doesn't want who you like. He don't want your enemy. He want who you love. Because that you got to go back later and tell God, explain that to him. If you want forgiveness for that, they're going to kick you out the club. They ain't going to even kill you. But you'll be at peace with the Father. So what a decision you have to make, you know? Um, yeah. Mm-hmm. So what? So we don't, I don't look at it as if it was so innocently done. Again, Fleet White, once you get past the whole big talk of Wikipedia and Google telling you, oh, he was an oil businessman, he was a uh, pilot in the Navy, or he was a something, he was this, he was that. No, he was a snuff filmmaker. I gotta say allegedly, but he was a snuff filmmaker. Besides John Bonet, he participated. Boulder is known for a lot of essay activity. The daughter, I believe, was unalive because she probably wanted to talk about the essay activity. You know, at a certain point, when they reach a certain age, they're usually locked away. They're usually locked away because they're kept to, or they're used for breeding purposes. It has nothing to do. Uh-oh, wait a minute. It has nothing to do with, they don't want nobody else to have them. No, yeah, well, that too, but they're afraid that they're going to go out and talk. You know who else makes me, I think of that with? We already saw that with the Menendez brothers. But what about Selena Quintanilla or Selena Perez when she married Chris, right? Not Selena, the little smush face girl, the Tejano singer, Selena. Um, I was passionate about that, right? Yeah, we love Selena's. Shit, we do. But um, it makes me think of her father. Why wouldn't your father want you to go off and be merry and married and enjoy life? Well, because he felt like Chris was going to take his money, all that he worked for. He was living through her, you know. And from what I can recall, he was digging in the ass of Suzette as well as Selena. And allegedly, Yolanda had mentioned this and had known about this. That's a whole nother story, but I believe it. I believe it. Like, bruh, why you mad that she's getting married? She's young, but bitch, she might want to get married and still have her career. Like, fuck out of here. You got married as poor as you were. You got married to your wife and started fucking her immediately. So what's, you know what I mean? That's what I say. It's not about the ethic of work or wanting to have something for yourself. No, it's the coveting of the daughter. This is a strange activity that some men have. This is a very strange activity. Um, Hang on, I'm gonna put y'all a gift in the comments. Hang on. And don't say I ain't never gave you nothing. Bam, there you go. Oh, wait a minute. Can y'all see that? I don't even know if they let y'all see that. Yep. Bam. Ha. But yeah, so the outcome of all the situations that happen with these people that engage in these activities with these children, it's a form of control. They're not going to go out and say nothing. There's a sense of shame. There's a sense of, feeling comfortable around others that are like you, but nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. A lot of them are programmed. They've been given DRUGS and uh, they've suffered under torture or MK Ultra because this is the way it goes. If you've been getting abused under, while being in a well-off family, this is, what the rich people do or whatnot. They may associate what they're doing to you with pain. If you scream and you're told not to scream, they may put hot iron to your nipples. So you, after a while, your mind wants to scream because that's a natural thing to do, but you won't scream because they're gonna hurt you with that hot iron to your nipples, if that makes sense. So you reach a point where you can't help it and you're just screaming like crazy because it hurts, goddamn it, and I want you to stop. The mind is going to split straight in half. This is where the insanity comes from. You lose your mind by losing yourself, because the mind has hit a point that it breaks and it splits sometimes more than two ways. And so once that person has hit that state, the shock sets in and you can do whatever it is that you want to do to that person. They could literally be looking up at the ceiling and not even be a part of what you know they are laying there to be a part of. So if I could explain that in the form of being an adult, imagine how a child would feel. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how a child would feel? That would have to be the creepiest, most scariest moment of their life. And so if they make it out alive and is allowed to move on the next day as if things are normal, you would be given some type of medicine to make sure you rest, go back to sleep, calm your dreams down, excuse me, replace your thoughts with the thoughts that they want you to have, and everything's back to normal. Like, for instance, let's say John Benet may have woken up about 2 o'clock in the morning one day for being afraid of what was going on and say, um, oh my God, I had a dream about these guys had me tied up and so and so and so. Patsy would probably say nothing more than, baby, you was just having a terrible nightmare. You know that. Oh man, she's been up all night, you guys. I'm gonna just go fix her a little bit more pineapples and cream and let her go back to sleep. It's not far fetched. So when I tell the stories of how these people do strange things with children, even there's someone that we watch on television quite often, um, a beady-eyed looking young man. Um, I don't know if I think he's funny looking or handsome. I haven't decided yet. Um, who has had a lot of things done to him in his youth. Anderson Cooper has had a lot of things done to him. Um, he knows who his mother is, and quite honestly, he knows who his brother is too, because his brother didn't die. His brother became Kathy Griffin, allegedly. They pretend they're so close because they're friends. That's his fucking brother. His brother never died. He didn't have an accidental fall. That's what they told us. They weren't ready at that time for the world to know that the boys become girls and the girls become boys sometimes. You know, Jamie Lee Curtis was never Jennifer Lee Curtis. She was always Jamie Lee Curtis, born a healthy, beautiful, bouncing boy. The same way, it's not a coincidence that uh, Obama chooses to call his lovely wife Michael. It's not far fetched that Barbara Bush looks just like Aleister Crowley in a wig. It's not far fetched that Gina Davis's jawline looks like fucking Michael Duncan from The Green Mile. Bitch jawline wide as fuck. Um, it's a lot of them. I spoke about this the other day. What's the child name? Chrissy Teigen. You know, you know, yeah. Um, again, what's that child name that everybody falls out and says she's the most beautiful thing? Jackie Onassis, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. She looked like a hammerhead shark. She looks how Haley Bailey, not Holly Berry, Haley Bailey would look if she was Caucasian. The eyes is on one side of the planet and the other eyes on Mars. Mars don't exist. So I don't know where the fuck the eye is on the other side. Um, Jacqueline may have been known for her fashion beauty sense, but she was nothing beautiful at all. She did not look, I don't know, them teeth looked like somebody took a truck and tried to ram through her mouth and just decided we're not gonna make it and backed out and just went on back home. Meanwhile, the teeth was sitting like a fence kicked in. Hey Mitchie. Um, just, boy. Um, I ain't gonna say that. I don't know. I got my doubts on Jackie. I think that Jackie was just ugly as hell. But there's so many others. All their wives. Oh, Eleanor, poor Eleanor Roosevelt. Man, what's the one? Is it Lydia? Ida. Look at Ida again. What was Ida's name? Whose wife was Ida? Um, Ida. Damn, it's on the tip of my tongue. All of those bitches. The royals, all of them, when you go back and you look at them, they look different. They look really different, and we didn't pay it any attention. Now they have advanced ways of making them look nice and pretty. They can remove the penis, slice it down the middle, fold it back, slide it a little bit up their ass, and they got a whole pussy. It's so bad, in order for them to keep the pussy alive, they have to somewhat, I call it, masturbate themselves, stick a tube in and out of that hole constantly to keep it open. Because if not, it can close up and they can die. Yeah, because it don't go there. It doesn't go there. It's not supposed to be like that. But they have done that now. Back then, they used to just castrate them and 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 call it a day and have happy time like that, anyways. So there's so much to think about, because even though we get to look out our window, there's somebody that will never see the light of day. And I ain't talking about somebody who's deceased. I'm talking about somebody that's like underground, being tied up or locked away in a cage because the winter solstice is coming up, and they'll be released somewhat on the scene of like an auction block, just waiting to be um, paid for and bought so that business can be ducted, just like they did on the movies Hostel. Remember them people going over there paying all that money to rent a room and buy somebody they could fucking kill, buy somebody that they could sit in there and torture and beat the fuck out of and do all kind of things to them all day long until they money ran out for whatever the fuck they bought a little moment to do some shit to someone, then get dressed, hop outside, go on about their business, have coffee. Where the idea come from if it's not real? It exists. And that's the crazy part, is we sit back and we see, we understand, we analyze all those things, and it just doesn't make sense, but it's real. And even back to JonBenét, when her body was found, um, there was DNA found. They're not going to tell us about that, though. The girl was raped. Goodness knows how many times. Of course, there would be DNA found. Fleet tried to say so many fucked up things about the Ramses. Listen, it's all a game. They don't hate each other. They love each other. Nobody went to jail behind it, so I don't know why the fuck you getting mad, try to say something. That's how you know it's bullshit. You know? Um, it was used specifically to elevate certain people. Patsy is now gone. Um, Burke is somewhere on medicine for the rest of his life because he can't stop smiling. Dr. Phil ain't worth a fuck. He's Masonic as fuck. So with pleasure, it was his job to totally make Burke look like the socially awkward weirdo. You know, nah, it's a little bit more to it than just. Well, you'll never get the complete answer behind who did it. They all did it. The father was fucking her. The father was okay with taking her to this Christmas party. The Christmas party was centered around a ritual called Saturnalia. Once her body was found, she was dubbed as the last bulb on the Christmas tree, which is a satanic ritual. This is why he laid her body next to the Christmas tree. See, we're not supposed to know those things. We're supposed to just think that someone kicked in the fucking side window, used the suitcase that was propped up against the wall to hop in, snatch their daughter out of bed, leave a ransom note, sneak past everybody else, and go downstairs and tie their daughter up and do all those things to her within what? An hour and a half? No, ain't nobody got time to do all that. If that was the case, he would have took her ass back out the window from which he came from. It's too much, but it's not complicated at all. They put it right in our faces. There's nobody else to look for. Patsy knew something was going to happen. They made sure this is why Patsy was on so much medicine. She was MK Ultra into going along with things, if that makes sense. She knew the role that her daughter would have because she had that role. This is why a lot of young girls in rich families are groomed to find another man just like their daddy. John is just like her daddy. She married him. She was much younger than him. It was okay for him to be that way. He had the money. He also now had him a young pageant girl whose ass was gonna be just as tight and firm as it could be. John was about to have him a good time in that pussy. And that's exactly what happened, right? Gave her two babies, an account full of money, the privilege to stay at home. That bad boy was bringing in $6 million. Of course, mama and daddy said, yeah. Well, I heard he killed his other daughter. Oh, we don't know that, Patsy. Yeah. I bet you her daddy knew that. You know why? Because her daddy probably attended the same Masonic temples as he did. So this is why I say it's not really far off. It's not different. It's all looped in the same Jeffrey. Same thing. Even with his birthday dedication that they gave him. What was it? The first called the first 50 that Ghislaine did for him. You know why Ghislaine liked him? Because she was a fucking weirdo her goddamn self. They try to make her out to be as bad. Neither one of them did the dirty work. They didn't do the dirty work. They organized everybody and they sat back and watched. That makes it just as bad. Hear me out. I agree. Yes, it makes it just as bad. But they didn't do the dirty work. See, her genius behind organizing that book, because she was the daughter of a Mossad agent. Her dad was Robert Maxwell. So she knew how to do some fuckery. Now, in this book, she had every one of his close friends, those that knew him, those his colleagues, those that had gone to the island, had celebrated in certain activities with him or what have you. She had all those people write in the book and write stories about him in the book. Now, in this book, you could see photos of a lot of ex-girlfriends, uh, many saying how brilliant he was, even as a lad, a young boy. Um, they honor his Jewish heritage in there. They don't make a scream of it too loud, though. I tell you that much. I peeped that. but they acknowledged certain people that acknowledged being certain places and doing certain activities with him. Like how everyone came out and said the birthday card that Trump said to Jeffrey seemed real personal. It was. It was. It was absolutely personal. You know, there is a such thing as only accepting those that do the same thing as you would. So it's not that you would see Jeffrey on his knees. You would see the others on their knees servicing him. In their mind, it's like someone going to jail. See, this is where this shit is taught. It's not just thought of out of, you know, thin air. In jail, it is, if you're doing the fucking, you're not gay. Listen, I ain't gonna say it no more, but if you're doing the penetrating, I'm assuming then it's not you, right? That's what they say. That's not what I say. Okay. Um, it's considered the same thing there in their world. So Trump making it seem as if um it's like a lovey-dovey thing. That's because it is. It is. They were absolutely fucking with each other. Um, there's no one that's gonna be comfortable making something seem like that, unless it's for laughs. You know, a lot of older white rich men are so bland and boring. You laugh at their jokes because it makes them feel good, but they are very insecure. They feel very powerful by way of their money and their status, but they are very unhappy, insecure people. And so they need to be grouped around others that think like them so that they can feel better about themselves by saying, well, there's others like me. Listen, it's a whole nother world, right? Um, oh man, it's so much. It's to the point where I don't want to seem like a weirdo because most of it is centered around them having sex with the little ones. It is. And it's crazy that it's like not even made a big deal. It's like I you know how the young people always say so and so on that demon time? That is what they are on. That's crazy. So, it's at a point. Hold on, was it more cabbage in there or you threw it away? Oh. um, oh, I done got hungry, y'all. I think I need to. Y'all want me to put y'all on hold and go heat up some food, or y'all want me to come back? Yeah, it is disgusting, and it's beyond like right now with Christmas coming up. The fall transition into the winter solstice is full of child sacrifice, child SA abuse, the adrenochrome frenzy, because the draining of blood will just be thriving so much during this time. It's the darkest time of the year, you know. They spend a lot of time, I wouldn't call it casting spells, but throwing energies out there into the atmosphere to get them where they need to be. Meaning they manifest their wants through these things. See, later on, after some of these rituals, they have sex magic, which I talk about, where they have sex with each other, engage in a swapping of all these liquids, and they say things. They give chants while they're having sex with each other. They, while they're bouncing on top of each other, fucking each other, they're saying things out into the air, and they're sealing it with the climax and the semen that's shot within side of the womb of the woman. Uh, it's a two-way thing because the man got a hole at the end of his penis too. So they're saying things to each other while swapping liquids, and this becomes infused in them, um, and it binds them, and it becomes sex magic. So they say what they want while having sex with someone, and at the height of that person climaxing, or at the height of that person having an orgasm, that what they have asked for gets sealed within that orgasm. Listen, this is why we gotta stop when these men, I always say this, but when these men be having sex with us women and they be who pussy this is, don't say nothing. Just don't say nothing, because sometimes you don't even know what the hell you be saying when you be saying what you be saying sometimes. Just talking to be talking because it feel good. And he don't know no better. He think he doing a good job by banging you out to the wall, making your hair sweat out. You tired. You got to hold your own legs up because you done got fat and your stomach in the way. And he asking you who pussy this is. And you, yours. You don't even know why you saying that. You know? So I say, man, you know? So it's like that's why they do that. And see, we just take it as, it's just good loving. Nah, it's a reason for everything, you know? And bless their hearts, they don't know no better. Then they wonder why they give it to girl that's crazy. You made her crazy, sir. You did that. Pardon me, you asked her, was it hers? And she said, yeah. So she got your whole DNA inside of her, going to work tomorrow. I don't care how many times she done washed and sat on the toilet, all of it ain't out. Some of it stuck on the walls. She acting like you, thinking like you, worried about you, smelling you, want to come see you, want to lay with you again. Everything is you. Because you done sat her there and asked her, whose pussy is this? So now she done tagged herself to you. This is what they do. This is what the rich do. And see, they do it in a way that's even more intense. That's why that lady Marina Abramovich, where she be having that spirit cooking, she know what she doing. They do that. They drink that shit and plaster that shit all over themselves, swim in it, fuck in it, do all kind of weird, nasty, disgusting shit. Because the nastier, the more pagan and Babylonish they get, the better the receiving of what it is that they've asked for comes out to them. You know what I mean? It's very sick. It's beyond the point of leaving out the children. The children are in because there's more granted to them by way of innocence. That makes the burden more heavier for them, because that's innocent. You're not allowing someone who wants to do something like that. They had a part of The Purge, remember, where the guy turned himself into the rich family so that his granddaughters could have a better life. He gave her the payment of that, and they allowed him to kill the hell out of him that night. It's not like this is a willing thing. This isn't that moment. You have people that run into shit that went on, like the movie, what's it called? Us, where the clones lived underground, where all the rabbits were, the fucking rabbit hole. It just, listen, these movies really be telling us things. They can't say too much, but they tell us enough. You know, you got to turn the scientific part off. The AI generated images that you see, so what? Look beyond that. You know, look at how things that are done now aren't really so far fetched. You know, they do have vehicles that you can sit in, not even using as a helicopter, and just go up and fly across the city. You know, they do have the ability to place something in the middle of your brain, uh, glue your skull back together, and if you've never walked before, you can put your leg in front of the right leg, and you'll be walking. They have the technology to do all these things. You know, they're making it okay to where a child who isn't old enough to decide if they can drive or drink can decide whether they don't want to be a boy anymore. They can decide if they don't want to be a girl anymore. That's unacceptable. But these are the things that they do during winter and fall solstice. They engage in these activities and they throw things like that out in the atmosphere. They come up with ways to make better music. This is why after music is cut, they take those albums to the top floor of the major record companies, like John Todd said before he went missing slash dead, and they have witches and warlocks and etc. Uh, do chants and their rituals and shit that they do, seances over the um songs to push forth backwards masking. You can hear certain whispers, even down to the frequency of the music that they're using. Certain frequencies can make you go out there and kill some goddamn body. You ever been in your car driving and you listening to a song that's kind of upbeat and you notice your foot on the gas a little bit harder? You know why? Because your body is in sync with that music. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. You're not gonna be driving slow, singing a song like that. Your foot might mistakenly just press the gas a little harder because you're hype. So that's what the frequency does. It goes through you. If anybody knows, I've told y'all plenty of times I had to stop listening to Rihanna's album Anti, one of my favorite albums, because all it did was make me want to go fuck. Pussy be moist as hell just listening to two songs. There was something wasn't right about that. That's when I totally understood. Yeah, okay, I ain't never wanted to give my pussy away like that. And then you sitting there listening to the song, and it just made me think I was the sexiest person in the world. You know, there's something there with that. You know, so I just wanted to touch up on that, and I'll come back because I got some more I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk more about Jeffrey and some of the, like I said, detailed activities that these people take part in. One of them in particular was there's a word for this that they use in porn. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know how to say it, but they okay. They have the child or the children stand in one area. Where? Wait a minute. Where? On the island? Oh God, no. Where, Tamar? Excuse me. But uh-oh. Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me? Oh, oh. Okay, okay. Um, oh yeah, how they would have the child or the children. Now, I'm mentioning this because this is allegedly what happened to Anderson Cooper. Um, and we know that his family was a part of the 13 bloodlines, but they allegedly, supposedly, don't have the money as they had prior, you know, by way of the Vanderbilt uh, bloodline. Um, they would place these children in the center of somewhere, and each adult, 10 times out of 10, of course, male, given the situation, and they'd all stand around and take turns spraying the child. Now, what were they spraying the child with? They didn't have water guns, they didn't have spray bottles, and they weren't holding water hoses. I'm going to leave you with that. And when I come back, we'll talk about that part. Okay, okay. We'll talk about that part. So I'm going to go grab me a little something to snack on and fix my website thing. I got to go to another car that's not letting me use that car and pay for it. I'm glad you said something, Tamar, because I wouldn't have never fucking known. So, okay, I'll be back. Let me grab something to eat, do this, and we'll be back with part two. Give me like 30 minutes, y'all. I know I'll be late forever. I am horrible with that. But just come back.